Hi all, thanks for joining today. I just thought with all the hype around Dogecoin and all the different cryptocurrencies, would be able to share a little bit of more of a technology standpoint of what blockchain and crypto is, more safe ways to trade, and kind of the different business models that different companies are using to allow you to buy and sell your currencies. So just to jump right in, I'm going to just throw a couple walkthroughs in front of you. So cryptocurrencies is an application of blockchain. What blockchain is it's called distributed ledger technology. So basically, no single entity owns any of and for all intents and purposes, it's a database. All cryptocurrencies is an implementation of a blockchain, and it has properties to it. So it includes cryptography, something that you can't generate anything that can't be hashed, and also you can't reverse the hashes. So once it's on the chain, there's only one way that it can be verified. Consistent algorithm is a way that once a transaction is made to the database, more than one entity has to confirm that the transaction was made, and they all agree that that was valid. So each implementation of each blockchain or cryptocurrency or application all can have their own consensus. Many of these are forked or copied from one another and tweaked, so there can be small differences even though they start from the same source. Data structure, so each chain can have its own rules and processes for interaction. So Bitcoin is one that is purely for cryptocurrency and more of a currency exchange. Bitcoin is a non-unique token, so it's just like our fiat currencies. Ethereum is a little bit different because it's a chain of smart contracts and data storage. So basically, a smart contract gives a way for the system to read and write data to the chain. So this is supports for having multiple applications that live off of it with that as a backing. And then distribution. So each protocol has a little bit different way that the data passes across each other. Bitcoin is kind of known for having a first in, first out type of architecture. So it actually does timestamping and will try to order transactions as they come in. Other chains don't have this rule. It's more of a mass throw in. You can have it or you can't. So actually, I'll share my screen. I forgot to do that. And the communication between nodes has rules, and each one has its own implementation. So crucial component is cryptography. So if you've ever heard of public key encryption, if you haven't heard of it, you've used it every day. So every time you go to a website that has HTTPS, this means that during communication, you use a key to generate a hash that based on a private key that only you have. It encrypts all the data in between your endpoint, and the only way to assemble that data is using a key that they know that is only for decrypting it. So the whole concept of that is built into cryptography, or into the blockchain, and this is what keeps it either anonymous or non-anonymous, depending on if your account requires that you link to your address. And basically, your address is just a cryptographic key. So And then I'll kind of go into wallets a little bit more because that's important for cryptocurrency. So consistent algorithm, I kind of already mentioned a little bit of details on that. So Merkle tree. So blockchain is a Merkle tree, and basically it keeps track of all the transactions, how data is transformed and manipulated, and has reached the state that it is. So any node can reassemble the tree and validate it based on transactions. There's a history of transactions, and then you have the current state. So one of the issues with blockchain is actually this fact is that there is a uncapped amount of data that has to be tracked in order for it to be verified. So a lot of times you'll hear some issues with ETH and blockchain because these are applications. They can use a bunch of data and they just grow exponentially. So distribution, there's different ways. I myself am not familiar with this part of the technology, but it's just goes over the network, and each one kind of has their own way that they do routing and nodes and things like that. So why is blockchain useful? So because it gives you a way that your whole history of data transactions and movement of data is all tracked, verifiable, validated through the course of the history. It makes for good applications like currency. If you're doing contract management, there's a lot of applications with trying to think of the word chain of custody, kind of like house titles, things like that. It makes very good applications for that, and that you don't want someone that stands in your way to get it. So a lot of times there's problems with, you always have to have a middleman to handle it. Well, this as a service stands as that middleman. So cryptocurrency, like I said, is the best known, and kind of because of the hype, that's why I thought I would put this together. Yes, and here, supply chain management, that was the one I was trying to get. So applications for like gold and diamonds, where you're trying to track the sourcing. If you don't want to buy like the blood diamonds, then this is a way that you can track the end-to-end process and distribution of how that gets moved. So all this stuff I'll kind of leave for later because it gets a little deep, and I'll jump right into the cryptocurrency stuff. So basically, Bitcoin is made up of a unit of measure, which is the Bitcoin. So there are wallets, which are kind of what I mentioned before with the cryptography. There are wallets that have an address that kind of represents your assets. So any assets that are assigned to an address. As a user, you can create as many wallets as you want on as many platforms as you want. Depending on the platform, you may only be able to access it through there. But with blockchain, many wallets are anonymous. You don't have to do anything to register your information. You can kind of keep this very private. So many wallets, and this kind of goes for all cryptocurrencies, will give you anywhere from a 14 to 21 word phrase that you can use to restore the information. So in the case that you've lost your password to your account, or you want to move to a different wallet host, you can take your wallet file and have that password to return it. So a lot of the trading that happens, including Robinhood doesn't actually give you any sort of wallet management. So I'll kind of get into that more a little bit later. I just kind of want to touch on it. So truly, when you have a cryptocurrency, it gets assigned to a wallet, and a transaction says that I, as an owner of this many coins, want to give it to this other wallet address. That transaction gets committed to the network. The network does its validation, and there are rules on how many times that it has to be confirmed before it is considered a completed transaction. So, who does that validation? It's called the miners. So, miners are basically computing these algorithms and verifying that all the transactions that have happened are valid, and that other miners that have also solved that problem confirm that they match. So once you have the n number of confirmations, again, most platforms considered it pass, and there may be a soft, like let's say it requires a minimum of 3, but then it'll go ahead and compute the rest of the confirmations that it requires. So miners make money off of a term called gas. So each transaction, and this kind of is more of an ETH term, but each transaction does have some sort of reward for the miners. So if they actually find and validate a transaction, then they will get a reward, and that reward is a coin that gets distributed to all of the different participants in that. Could be, if they're small, they could be a pool, or if it was just their own kind of mining farm, then they would get all the reward. So this is very expensive. So this mining, depending on the coin, is optimized for video cards, and there's also something called ASICs. ASICs are specialized hardware that are dedicated to doing the confirmations. They're many times a lot more efficient per watt than video card mining, but some coins only offer video card mining. So this is kind of why all of the video cards just kind of got scooped up, especially a couple of years ago when we hit the 12K peak or 20K peak with Bitcoin, and then now that it's picked up again this year, video card issues. So again, the mining is something that causes the slowdown in network transactions. So when you make a payment from person A, wallet A to wallet B, this process of confirmation and validation actually causes quite a bit of a slowdown. So this is kind of why we're at this point where it's much slower than just using a Visa card, because there's only one party that has to verify it, versus Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Doge. These all have different rules, and you have to wait for the network to confirm it. And especially when there's a lot of traffic on the network, you can see delays. So I know just from the Doge hype, Changely, which is a platform that lets you exchange one currency to another, they've been down for 2 or 3 days because they had such a flood of transactions to convert BTC to Doge or ETH to Doge. So this is kind of why you want to be careful about putting too many eggs in one basket and kind of manage your risk. And there's not a whole lot of regulation around this, so once you put money into it, it's kind of up in the air. I will share a story. I started mining a few years ago, and a exchange I used actually got hacked, and it went down. All my assets I had on there, because I stored my cryptocurrency on the exchange, which is bad to do if you're just going to let it sit. It got hacked, all went away, and they lost all the transactions. So one way that these exchanges try to optimize their passing of coins is they own a fixed amount, and they keep track of how much each individual owns. There's really no need for them to internally track every person's wallet and force the transactions between wallets if they can just keep track of the transactions on an internal ledger. Most of these exchanges will let you withdraw, and that incurs a fee. And then at that point, that's when you would have your wallet that you're holding off the exchange, and you would point them to that, and it would then kind of remove the amount you're holding on your exchange account into the wallet. Well, I didn't do that step, and the exchange went down, and I just kind of lost everything that I had for that was holding there, which was about 3 or 4 months of mining. So it was discouraging, but not enough to deter me from it, because I knew it's kind of a hobby thing and just kind of something kind of fun. So anyway, back on. So we've talked about mining. Transactions, again, is from one wallet to another. You say how much you're giving to the other person, it gets confirmed by the miners, and then it arrives in your account, the target account. So all of the cryptocurrencies follow that pattern, and now, when you get into like the way that PayPal and Robinhood implemented it, they did it a little bit differently, and it's not really true to cryptocurrency, but it's still, they have to honor what the money you've put in, because they're kind of a U.S. entity. So what is Doge? Doge was a fork off of Bitcoin. It did very little technical innovation. It was created out of a meme, and really, for all its popularity, it's not really anything innovative. It just kind of happened to take off, and then you have like Elon Musk kind of pumping it, and every time he says something, it jumps. Mark Cuban, which is the owner of the Mavericks in Dallas, he's also kind of backed it, and that pumped it. So it's been kind of a fun ride, but there's a few weaknesses to it. So right now, there are what are called whales. So whales are people that hold and control a lot of the value of the cryptocurrency. So if you look, there's about 10 people that hold 40% of Doge. And today was supposed to be a significant day, at least on social media standards for Doge, for a price jump. So basically, price jumps line up with social media storming and get more people excited about it. More people get pulled in. But as we go through, so the price didn't jump today. So why is that? One reason could be that one of the whales, and so this is one of the benefits of having cryptocurrencies, because you can see where the historical of transactions. So someone did digging. I just kind of happened to find this on Twitter. And one whale every hour started dumping 1 million Doge. So how does that impact? The supply is continually being refreshed with this price. There's so much of it that whatever price he sets is going to be kind of the dominant price for the market for that time. So luckily he hasn't flooded, or I don't know if it's a he, but luckily they haven't flooded it so much that it's dropped the value. But this is just one of 10 people that hold 40% of all the Doge currency. So one thing to note was Elon Musk. He kind of mentioned whoa, my screen share is not working. There we go. So Sorry, I didn't realize that was not showing. So, again, this is the addresses of one whale's wallet. He's dropping 1,000 every hour or 1,000,000 every hour, and that's causing the prices just to kind of hold steady or under whatever price he has set. So now, Musk, he did mention not so long ago about if the whales exited the market that he would back it more. So what his fear is that the you'll get a lot of followers, a lot of people to social medias. It's going to pump the price up, and then they decide to exit and make their boat loads of money, and then the market kind of crashes because everyone's afraid of it. So a little bit of research went in on that. There's speculation. No one really knows who the owner of the wallets are without actually being able to tie the wallet address to a person. But many of the exchanges, they will purchase large amounts of the currency, kind of what I was talking about before, and then they'll hold that as a pool that they use to facilitate trades on their platform without actually having to perform a trade every time someone buys or sells a currency there. They can kind of keep that pool there, but as they need to grow it, they can buy more, but it kind of helps keep their transaction fees low, and also they can make a profit because every transaction that someone makes on their platform, they don't have to expense out the cost of an actual trade. So that's one theory, that the whales are exchanges, and then there's also theory that some of the creators of Dogecoin are also those owners and are just holding it until they're ready to dump it and the price plummets, or they get rich. One of the two, or both could happen. So what are the different platforms that you can buy cryptocurrency on? So I know Robinhood is very popular right now, but philosophically with cryptocurrency, I disagree with how they've implemented it. So basically, on Robinhood, you go and buy a share. So what a share is just what a coin is, except you don't actually on Robinhood own that asset. So you would not be able to go and say, I want to withdraw this to my own wallet and hold it for storage on my never leaves their platform. So you've committed money to it. They have to honor it when you sell, but you can't use it to spend as actual currency, or it's literally just like an investment. Kind of, they've modeled it kind of like you would a stock. So I think there's another platform called Webull that has a similar implementation, and PayPal's recently kind of got into the game too. So you can go in and buy Bitcoin, and you're able to hold Bitcoin there. And then they've recently added where if you execute a transaction, it'll pull from your Bitcoin amount. So depending on the day, you could be spending more money than you would just by spending cash. And other days it could be up, 20%, and then you're actually saving a little bit of money. So but again, on there, you're not actually able to withdraw that onto your own wallet and hold it in your own storage. So to me, that's a little bit of it's an anti-pattern to cryptocurrency, because the idea is that you're the owner of your assets. It shouldn't matter where you go or how you take it. It should be under your control and kind of your jurisdiction. So while these kind of help you get a part of the craze of the investing, and as the value grows, it's just not, it doesn't enable you to be able to spend it. So Newegg just kind of recently added a way that you can spend Doge on their platform. So you can go buy computer components with Doge. And I think they're using a kind of a middle party that converts the cryptocurrency to fiat dollar or fiat amounts, but at least it kind of makes it more fun and a different outlet to put your cryptocurrency. And then again, like the Mavericks and the Rockets, both NBA teams have added Doge as a way to transact against their product. So keep it on going. So there are web-based wallets. So these are hosted on a platform. They kind of maintain your ID. You get a login, so they can know who you are. A lot of times you may have to upload your ID. Many of these are not actually local to the US, so there are some security concerns with some of these web-based wallets that I have, especially when your data moves from stateside to somewhere overseas. The rules about data storage are very different, so depending on whose eyes it gets under, you could have people looking at your stuff that you don't want to. So web-based wallets, they're better than Robinhood because you get to control your assets, but there's still security risk because you're trusting someone to hold it for you and that they are going to be truthful and honorable about it. So two other methods. So there are hardware wallets and desktop wallets. So desktop wallets are both setups are very similar for hardware and just a client. So you download the specific wallet that you're going to use. There are some that kind of package them all together, but these when you get started, will give you a 7 to 21 word passkey so that you can restore it in the case that your hard drive shuts down or your computer fries or you want to move to another platform. Inherent risk to that is if you lose that restoration, there's no way you're going to get it back. So that's kind of, you want to keep it safe, keep those keys safe. Don't tape it under your keyboard, but find a safe way to keep it separated and in a way that you don't lose. Because there's a few old Bitcoin wallets that people have just forgotten about that are worth millions now because they got it when it was just a few dollars a coin. So avoid being that person. But hardware wallets are very similar to that. They, instead of having to download a client for each wallet you want to hold, there is a suite of wallets that you get to set up. It's one 7 to 21 word passphrase that you have to keep track of for multiple wallets. And then there's some inherent functionality that they provide that you don't necessarily have to go to exchange to. So there's a couple popular ones right now, and one is called the Nano. This is not self-powered, so when you plug it in to USB, it powers itself up. You get a passcode that you set up in the beginning when you configure it, and once you get through, it can connect to your phone via USB cable to your computer, and you can kind of control your assets through your wallet from your PC, but all transactions require that you do some sort of action on the hardware wallet. Nothing can happen without that wallet, without this USB device being on your body. There's another version that is Bluetooth. It is a little bit more expensive, but then there's always security risk with Bluetooth transmitting open radio signal to everyone. So if you're in an airport, there's people that that can be sniffing the traffic and storing it, and then later trying to break the encryption that's protecting it. Could take a while, but if you're using the same wallet for 4 or 5 years and they've had a supercomputer running against it, there could be issues with it. So it's best just to kind of think like a hacker, and just don't, if you're going to put, thousands of dollars on this thing, and this is the only way that you have to interact with it, just be conscious of data transmission and things like that. But you, there's also another platform is called Trezor. Both of these do very similar things. It's just different brand, and there's probably different underlying technology. So both of these allow you to purchase cryptocurrency right off of the platform. So you can just put in your credit card, link your bank account, things like that. And then it'll do the conversion and send money to your wallet. And this lets you completely avoid the exchanges. And also when you're ready to trade, it gives you some limited exchange functionality. So let's say you wanted to go from Bitcoin to Ethereum. You can make that transaction at market price. And then you'll incur fees for the conversion. So a lot of times there's gas fees, and then these platforms will charge some percentage of conversion fee. So one that I use is called Changelly, and it's like 0.25%. But they've been getting some bad rep because on these high traffic days, they've jacked up transaction fees. So always before you execute something, run it in a tool to verify that what the fee is seems reasonable. So if you're doing $100 of Bitcoin, you can look for probably about a 10% fee of, $8 or $9. So it's not cheap. It gets a little bit cheaper the bigger the amount is, but it kind of keeps you grounded on not transacting too much on just little small gains. And then kind of the last topic I wanted to touch on was exchanges. So there's a lot of exchanges out there. So a couple things to do homework on. Look at where the exchange is hosted. So I forget where KuCoin is, but it's very popular to use for buying and exchanging. And basically this looks just like a stock market sort of field. You can see prices compared to one another. You can exchange, but you can sell, putting limit trades. There's something called stop limit. You have a lot more flexibility when you use an exchange to transact from one coin to another, if you're just trying to get from one coin to the other. So this kind of helps you make safe bets. So if there's an absolute minimum that if you go under, you just want to back out of it all, you can set up those type of transactions. So but that means you do have to have all of the coin that you're wanting to execute that transaction on the market. So kind of like in my scenario, when I held it all on there, someone hacked it and it went down. I lost everything on that account because it was on their platform. So again, because they hosted the wallet and had they kind of managed all the credentials there, that again, the limit. So KuCoin's popular. Binance is one that they spun up specifically for the US. I believe I forget where it's hosted, but it's hosted here in the States. But when you create your account, you actually have to upload your social security number or tax ID if you're a company, and upload a picture of your photo ID. Because originally Binance was a Chinese-owned company and it's just a split from there, I've been personally a little bit uncomfortable to use it. But I know many investors here that are comfortable with it and do use it for managing their cryptocurrencies. And this supports the most coins. So Coinbase is one I am more comfortable with, especially because of it going public and getting listed on NASDAQ and things like that. There's certain criteria that it would have to meet in order for it to get available to buy. So again, this lets you link your bank account so that you can make same day deposits. It's kind of got two versions. It's got one that you just buy into a coin that you want, and I'll call that kind of like a more basic version. And it's there's a fee when you purchase it, and then you can just let it hold. It actually does give you the capability to withdraw it off of their platform and move it into your own wallet, but you can leave it here and then. And it's been a while since I've used this one, so I don't know if you can exchange from one coin to the other, but you can at least sell from one coin to cash to US dollar and then go from US dollar to your new coin. So you get hit with two fees, but you don't have to deal with the complication of a pro version. So Coinbase also does have a pro version. So this looks like all the other exchanges. It gives you these kind of the buy-sell diagram so you can see the quantity of transactions that are happening, and you can see the buy-sell kind of breakdown of the prices and buy and sell orders. But when you go to this account, you can actually pull all of your assets that you hold on Coinbase and pull it into the pro version, and it will from then on be tracked there. You can deposit more to the basic account, but it also pulls in your bank account info here. And then you get that more flexibility as you start getting a little bit more involved in the trading. But if Coinbase, all you want to do is buy Bitcoin, forget about it and hold it, it's there to support it. You can withdraw it. Again, to mention, Binance will also let you withdraw it. This also has a fee. And then all of their transactions that happen on their platform is using a BNB token. So this token's actually been one that's been around a few years. Back when I traded on Binance before they had the more strict regulation in the US, it was worth about $12. And you can see here that if I would have stayed on it, whatever I had would have blew up by quite a bit, 20 times at least. So Coinbase does not have its own coin. It uses a little bit. It will add on a little bit of a fee from the coin you're coming from. So let's say you wanted to move one ETH from and buy Bitcoin. It may take 0.1 or 0.01 Ethereum as its fee and just kind of take it away. So again here, Ethereum is very based on traffic and transactions that are happening. If it's a very busy day, gas prices go up because gas prices kind of drive the order of operations of transaction processing. So miners want to get their cut of the money because they're paying for the hardware and electricity costs. So it's kind of a balance, but they're what enables that decentralized currency. So, and then the last platform I'll talk about is crypto. So this company actually has a credit card that you can use. It, as a reward, will give you some cryptocurrency back if you hold their CRO. CRO is their version of a coin that they use for transactions, and they do something called proof of stake. So basically, your rewards go higher the more CRO that you hold. So it's actually also because it's drives this platform, its price is done relatively well. But again, I'm not really recommending any of these. Do your own homework because everything's kind of No one really knows anything, but it is a part of the core transactions that happen. So this also has a exchange that looks very much like Coinbase and KuCoin. But this one's restricted not to people in the U.S. So if there's really just a platform that you have to have, you can use a VPN service to kind of cut around the restrictions. But again, you're passing data outside of stateside, so there's different regulations and different things that they can keep track of your traffic that aren't going to be the same as here. So most VPNs, they're geared towards encrypting your data between two endpoints in such a way that it can't be reasonably cracked. But we all don't know how they actually implemented it. They could have backdoors in there, or it's all a risk. More hands that touch it, more risk of failure. So be aware, but there's a lot of things in cryptocurrency that you cannot do without the VPN. So, and again, if you're in an airport, I wouldn't touch any of this stuff without doing something between your computer and protecting yourself from the network. So VPN is a must-have, definitely if you're on some sort of public network and doing something with cryptocurrency. So I will post some of these links in as a part of this. I do have a couple affiliate codes for the Ledger wallet because it's something it was my pick out of the wallets. And then also for Coinbase, it'll give us both $10 to spend on cryptocurrency. But these other platforms are good enough that are a better fit for you, then by all means, just kind of do your own homework. Hopefully you feel more educated. I've been kind of studying cryptocurrency for a while, and I think it's a great future. There's a lot of growing pains that's going to have to happen before it becomes actually anything mainstream to replace like the Amazons or Microsoft Azures of the world, because that is the end goal that it could do. But right now the scaling and definitely transaction time is very bad. So right now it's definitely still a pet project in early on days. We could see major regulations with the government where maybe all of a sudden they don't want people to extract their Bitcoin or from Coinbase back to their bank account. Then we're going to run into big issues. I don't think that makes much sense, but it's definitely in the power that happens. And right now, if you do invest in cryptocurrency, you are obligated to report it to taxes. So with my understanding, it's very similar to a security. So capital gains tax, if you just have a bunch of money entering your bank account, you're asking for an audit if you don't report it. So a lot like these coins that have jumped, 6,000% from the beginning of the year, they're going to notice. So Coinbase does have you register a tax document, so at least from their end, they're safe. It doesn't do a great job in helping you generate your tax documents that you need to provide to your CPA, or just if you do them yourself, you don't get a form that lets you easily keep track of it. So it takes a little bit of work, and again, it's just an added complication to the whole deal. So anyway, if there's any questions you have, feel free to find me on Facebook or Twitter. I will try, let's see. Actually, so if you take I have a barcode up on the screen. If you scan it, that'll get you contact information for me if you have any questions or just interested in it. So I actually recently come out with a watermark tool. Privacy and security is very important aspects of digital world to me, and I think as we moved into more and more into the digital age, some of that's lost. So one thing I've kind of built is a watermark tool, and basically it's set up that you can go in, upload an image, you can put a logo on it, you can put just arbitrary text. So if you want to put your social media tag, things like that. It doesn't go a long way, but it is something that at least will attribute that image back to you. And right now it's a free service, but as a part of the free service, I'm trying to get traffic there. So if you're interested in tapping into the traffic, there are sponsor spots. So it's kind of the way that I can balance the cost for hosting it for providing the service. So short term in the future, as a team, we're working on a directory listing for companies that are willing to take cryptocurrency as payment. So it will not execute transactions, but if there are small businesses that are willing to take cryptocurrency, there are some benefits while the regulation is not well defined or strict, that it could be a means to make exchanges for services or products in a way that may take your business further than it would by doing fiat transactions. So that's kind of coming down the ropes. So if you have a small business and you want to list it, it's great. If you are holding cryptocurrency and you're trying to find places that you can spend it without having to do the conversion, you can save a little bit on transaction fees because you're going from same currency from one wallet to the other, which is the cheapest transaction. So if any of that stuff interests you, please reach out. Kind of looking to grow. I'm a small company, have a team of 3, but we're software developers. I'm primarily a software consultant, but trying to move more into developing software for a company. So, or for as a group for providing services to the community for small business and medium-sized businesses. So anyway, thanks for tagging on if you've been here or if you've watched the video. Really appreciate it. And thanks again.